Welcome back, Erik. Again, mini podcast number 4, all around self-awareness.
Yeah, here we go.
Awesome. So we've talked about identity and purpose and values. Awesome information in there for our parents and for our athletes. What I want to dive into today is self-awareness. For people who are a little bit unsure about maybe what self-awareness is, can you run through what it is for you, really?
I think it's just holding an honest mirror up to yourself and looking in it and being honest about what you see.
Yeah.
That's the short version of it.
So why is it an important piece of the performance puzzle?
To understand yourself within performance, I think, is a big piece of this. The self-awareness of how you behave under pressure, or how you are to your teammates, how you communicate, just understanding yourself in that environment and holding the mirror up to see who you are in the environment, especially for athletes, is really important to kind of navigate, because you can start seeing whether or not that's the person you want to be as well.
Is there a little bit of a confusion piece in here sometimes, that maybe we think we're acting in a certain way or speaking in a certain way, but maybe it's not coming across in that manner?
Yeah, totally. We all wear rose-tinted glasses, don't we, when we think about ourselves and how we're communicating or how we're behaving, and we think that we're doing something, but unless we actually see our behavior reflected back to us, we never actually know. And so from a sporting perspective, especially performance, creating self-awareness through film and through watching film back can be really, really powerful. With coaches, it's recording yourself and hearing the language that you're using, the tone that you're using, things like that, and being able to see is that person that I want to be. So having that awareness to understand yourself in the environment is really important.
Does that also come down to, you can not just look at those characteristics, but you can actually look at some of the technical elements that maybe your memory is not quite as clear as it, or you've kind of tricked yourself to think that maybe I was better in that moment, or even vice versa. When you look back, you're actually better than you were.
Yeah, I think there's oftentimes we can also be a lot more self-critical, right? And we tend to go to the negative quickly or quicker. And so when you are able to look in the mirror, watching film or hearing someone else's reflection of that, we can get a different picture of it. And yeah, film is a great one, because we can actually see for what it actually is. And I may have thought I was doing this, but I can see how it looks like I'm doing that.
100%. I have this terrible resting face when I'm thinking hard. I either look really worried or really angry, and my kids come into the room and go, "Dad, are you all right?" Or, "Dad, are you angry with us for some reason?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just thinking." And my wife just goes, "Change your face." But it's that kind of thing, right? You think you're doing one thing, or you don't realize what you're doing, but everybody else can see it. And I wish I could have a camera on myself in those moments to actually see what it looked like. In a sporting sense, that can be incredibly powerful. Does that, or can that, lead to a greater confidence as well, if you're much more self-aware?
Yeah, self-awareness, it allows you to, if you review and reflect, you can see proof of you doing something. And for me, confidence comes from proof of execution, proof of actually accomplishing and doing something that you want to do. So there's a confidence element to it as well, that being able to be aware of yourself in the situation, your capabilities, your strengths. So another part of self-awareness is your strengths and your challenges. But being able to really be aware of those strengths, that can give you confidence as well. And so, understanding what am I good at? That's self-awareness. Understanding where are my areas of growth? That's self-awareness as well.
It's an interesting one, the strengths thing, and is a big part of being honest and being strong enough to be honest here, I think, too, because New Zealand culture, we're not always very good at putting ourselves out there and saying, this is my strength, are we? But if you're being really honest and really self-aware, then it's important to see those strengths, isn't it? And develop confidence in those.
Yeah. Yeah, the strength, being able to lean into your strengths is a really good place to be. And being able to promote them as well and take confidence from them and just live towards your strengths,
Yeah.
it can put you in a good position.
Is this also, I guess, one of the starting practices for future planning in terms of I'm really self-aware, I can see what I'm really good at, I can see some of my weaknesses. Now I can go and plan to strengthen this, build on my weaknesses as well.
Yeah, the self-awareness piece is a great place to, as you say, plan, look at some goals that you want to set or some areas that you want to develop on or focus on. But self-awareness is also the ability to look in the mirror and go, am I behaving in a way that is reflective of who I say I want to be?
To bring it back to those values and
Absolutely. Yes. And so, yeah, the awareness pieces across all sorts of different places. It can help with you identifying behavior, and that behavior is something that you want to improve. That behavior is already a strength. That behavior is not actually accurate in terms of who you want to be. There's so many layers to it, and to be able to set a goal requires a lot of self-awareness, because when we set goals, if you use the SMART technique or whatever, it's got to be relatable to who you are and your environment and your capabilities and things like that. And I'm not saying that if I was to look at myself, did I set myself some unrealistic goals? Potentially, because I wasn't realistic in who I was, what my physical body was capable of, what my environment was, how I was developed as a footballer at a young age, things like that. So when you're able to be really honest in that and be really self-aware of, okay, what's my environment, what is my training, what is my physical abilities and things like that, you can be a lot more realistic in who you could become.
Yeah, and you're not saying to drag down those dreams, but there is a realistic aspect.
Absolutely.
To it. Not everyone's going to become LeBron James.
No. Yeah. But yeah, there's that. You need those. You need that driving force. Absolutely. But then it's being able to look within yourself of being like, how can I be the best version of me? And that's where the awareness piece comes of, okay, these are my parameters. This is my environment. These are the opportunities that have been presented to me. Yeah. How can I make the most of those? Yeah. And then maybe those present other opportunities. How can I make the most of those?
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. So you're not just being self-aware of yourself and your own limitations, your own strengths. You're actually having to look at the wider environment that you're a part of.
Totally.
Yeah, that's interesting. So if we have someone who wants to work on their self-awareness, you mentioned video can play a role within a sporting world. Are there other practices and strategies that athletes, parents, coaches can use to build more self-awareness?
Yeah, the questions I often ask is like, who are you at your best and who are you when you're not at your best? Yeah. And so then that can lead into looking at habits. That can lead into looking at your daily behaviors and what is leading you to your best. So who are you at your best with? When I'm at my best, I am fully engaged, I'm energetic, I'm compassionate. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what's leading to that? I'm getting good sleep, all of that. So that awareness piece of who am I at my best? Okay, and what's actually contributing to that? Who am I when I'm not at my best? And what's contributing to that? That can be a really simple place for people to start, and parents to start with their kids to be able to help explore that idea.
Interesting. So it sounds like the self-awareness part is where we start to layer in all these aspects of sleep, of food, of rest, within a performance kind of space. Is that kind of right?
Yeah, and it's asking yourself, are my behaviors helping me or hurting me? Yeah. And so then and all these behaviors are related to my purpose. and my values and things. So that self-awareness to be like, who am I at my best? Who am I not at my best? But then are my behaviors helping me be closer to my best, or then hurting me and getting me closer to not my best? And then that's where all these other pieces come in totally.
Yeah, and does it help some athletes to have a sounding board, a mentor, whatever you want to call it, to help them with that self-awareness piece of identifying this is actually where you're at, and maybe it's the athlete recording it and sharing it, but do you find that a few athletes do need someone as a sounding board?
Yeah, everyone's different, but there's athletes that they find value in someone outside their close circle or outside their family environment that can benefit from it, because it's just someone else that can hold you accountable, someone else that can challenge you, and someone else that can help you change or look at it something different, so perspective taking. But then also, especially from a sporting context, your parents might not know what is required to be the best in this.
Yep.
And so having a performance related mentor or coach or something like that can help with the understanding of, okay, parents know that sleep's important and nutrition's important just because that's human functioning. But what about goal setting? What about visualization? What about some of these other ones that play a huge role in being my best and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think there's the other side of that, where you mentioned nutrition and you may, as a parent, know that nutrition is important, but you might not know what to feed them. Yep. Whereas that person can step in and really help them, can't they? And I know, like, you started working with my son. I think you've had about 4 sessions. I mean, that's not a lot of time, but I can already see someone from outside the family, someone who's sort of stepped through a journey where he wants to go, is already having a big impact in a lot of ways. And I think that's really, as a parent, that's quite profound, And
yeah, and I think we've joked about it before, but as a parent, you might be saying the same message or close to the same message as I am,
yep.
But because the teenage brain is in this place of get away from me,
yep.
They are more receptive to a different voice. Absolutely. And so that's just, sadly, that's just the way things are. But yeah, it can be really helpful having a different perspective, having it from someone who they respect. Not saying that they don't respect their parents, but they are in a phase of potential rebellion or figuring out who they are, right? And so navigating that away from their parents, they're more comfortable often.
Yeah, that different voice is incredibly important. And I think that's a really neat segue into talking about the parent and maybe the role during the earlier years, because the teenage years get a little bit trickier. Like you said, you might need someone else to talk to. Is there a powerful way that parents can play a role of being self-aware themselves during early years, so that it just becomes normalized for kids to be open and speak about that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think just being aware of behavior and holding yourself accountable, like apologizing when you did something potentially like that wasn't part of the family values or something, like, I'm sorry that I messed up. And so that the child then sees that parents aren't invincible. It's okay to make mistakes. I can do that. And so that type of awareness as a parent can be really powerful. And allow for the child to kind of develop some awareness as well in that sense.
Cool, perfect. Another really, really important piece of the puzzle, alongside identity, alongside purpose and values. If there's one thing you wanted to leave with our athletes and our parents from this conversation around self-awareness, what would it be?
Just continue to ask yourself, is this helping me or is this hurting me? And that feeds into any decision that you make around, I'm going to spend half an hour on my cell phone versus I'm going to go for a half an hour nature walk. Hey, it might be helpful for some people, it might not be helpful. So just, continuing to ask yourself, when you're engaging in certain behaviors, is this helping me or is this hurting me? And just being aware of what your decisions, what your behaviors are doing to you.
Cool, love that. Awesome.